Glad to be here voluntarily to testify, to help with the committee's work. I'll start with an opening statement in the hearing room. I hope my testimony is helpful to the important work of the committee to find justice for the victims.
Lawmakers have a lot of questions for Bill Gates. He appears in the Epstein files hundreds of times. He's referenced in emails, in phone call invitations, and calendar invites. But the most explosive allegations are these two draft emails that Epstein allegedly was going to send himself but never sent. These are unverified claims where Epstein claims that he helped Gates to be set up with women, and he also helped Gates get medication to hide a sexually transmitted infection from his then wife, Melinda Gates. Now, Bill Gates denies those claims vehemently, says they are completely false, but has said he regrets ever interacting with Gates.
In his opening remarks, Bill Gates told lawmakers he was never aware of Epstein's crimes, and that he himself, Gates, never victimized anyone. He gave a little bit of a background on how they got introduced back in 2011. He said that their interactions, for the most part, were pretty limited, and that all of that came to an end in December of 2014. This is something else that Gates told lawmakers. He said, "I learned Epstein had become aware of sensitive information about my personal life, including the fact that I had been unfaithful in my marriage. Epstein was working to use information about my infidelities, in addition to many lies that he layered on top, to pressure me to re-engage with him."
I think what we can say right now is that Mr. Gates does believe that Mr. Epstein would write emails that were oftentimes untrue. I think he spoke to that in some of the questioning, that he denies obviously some of those claims, and that he felt that Mr. Epstein would write emails to himself and just say things that were not true or didn't.
This has obviously been a really embarrassing ordeal for Bill Gates. I'm told by a source that his lawyer jumped in at one point and said he's not going to answer questions about affairs that are not directly related to the Epstein saga. Epstein also, I think, is aware that his reputation has taken a hit. He said, quote, "Meeting with Epstein was a grave error in judgment." And he also said he's now being more careful about the kinds of people that he associates with.
I found him cooperative, and I found him to be pretty credible. The sad thing is he basically admitted that he carried out a relationship with Epstein even after he knew that Epstein had been convicted of a sexual crime. And the reason he did it is he said Epstein knew a lot of billionaires, a lot of donors, and he wanted to raise money from them for his philanthropies. And this just shows some of the moral bankruptcy at the time, where it's not that Gates committed any illegal act, but he was willing to overlook the sexual crime to raise money for his charities.
Did he ever attend, as far as you know, any of these parties where there were these underage girls or women who were being trafficked? Was there any? I mean, he has admitted, Gates, to infidelities, but I don't think he's admitted to infidelities, to cheating on his wife with any of the women who were trafficked by Epstein, right?
Yes, and he was very clear. I asked him point blank, did Epstein ever introduce him to any women underage or just women who he had affairs with? And he said absolutely not. And he said he never was on the island, and that Epstein did not in any way facilitate any of his affairs.
Three of the four House Republicans who joined you to force the release of the Epstein files are soon no longer going to be in office. Obviously, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene quit after she had a falling out with Trump. Thomas Massie lost his seat after he had a falling out with Trump, and Trump endorsed his opponent. And now Congresswoman Nancy Mace is leaving. She ran for governor in South Carolina. She finished fifth in the Republican primary. Obviously, Trump supported the woman who won. There were obviously different factors contributing to all these exits, but Mace has made it clear that she thinks the Epstein episode cost her politically. I guess Lauren Boebert is the only one left right now. Are you concerned about losing any other Republicans who were allies in pushing transparency for this?
It's sad to me that they paid that price. I mean, some people in my own party sometimes criticize me when I say that they showed a lot of courage, but the reality is they did. I mean, Thomas Massie Marjorie Taylor Greene literally gave up their seats. And I believe Nancy Mace that it hurt her among Republicans. And all of them stood with survivors. Look, I got $1 million or so spent against me because of my work on Epstein and also calling for a billionaire's tax. I got 62% of the vote, and a Democratic challenger got 6%, but I'm running in a Democratic constituency. But being a Republican, taking on Donald Trump, was an act of political courage.
Bill Gates wrapped up in this in a way that we know was related to the demise of his own marriage. Melinda French Gates has been out there in some cases asked questions about his behavior in ways that I think raised some eyebrows. What stood out to you about what Gates told the committee and what it says about, the fact that he was there for as many hours as he was?
Yeah, I don't know that there are going to be specific leads that the committee is going to follow up on as far as we know right now, and we'll know for sure once the transcripts come out, whether he referred the committee to specific people that he saw engaging in bad behavior. But what I think we are seeing today is a full pattern of powerful people who were very close to Jeffrey Epstein, people who spent a lot of time with him, certainly wanted to be invited to all of his dinners in New York City, now saying years later, we were never aware of the crimes that he was committing. And I think if I'm Bill Gates, I'm pretty lucky that the emails where some of the more salacious and unverified claims about Bill Gates appear to have been written by Epstein to himself, and the fact that Epstein is dead. You can deny and deny and deny if you are convinced that there is no physical proof to the contrary. But I thought Bill Gates talking about how he was initially introduced to Epstein was really interesting. He said it was in 2011, and he did know that Epstein had some prior legal issues, but he decided not to scrutinize those matters further. Those legal issues, to be clear, is that Jeffrey Epstein in 2009 was convicted of soliciting prostitution from a minor. These are not just minor legal issues. He was a registered sex offender. So I just think the sort of willful ignorance of powerful people when money is involved is a conversation we need to keep having.
Yeah, Jody, what do you think it says? The story, this is of course part of the book that your colleagues Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan it's going to be a blockbuster, let me tell you, it's coming out in a couple of weeks. They wrote that J.D. Vance, the vice president, was particularly panicked about what was going on, and that he even floated enlisting Tucker Carlson to interview Ghislaine Maxwell in prison. Vance thought that it might help the president if Maxwell was willing to state Trump had not been part of any wrongdoing. Epstein. What does this all say?
Well, I was riveted by Maggie and Jonathan's excerpt. Their book is called Regime Change. I think it is going to be a blockbuster. And what was so interesting was that you could really see President Trump losing control of the Epstein story paragraph by paragraph as they give this internal account of the Trump team trying to deal with it. And part of what is so fascinating about it is that, listen, we're living through a presidentially led backlash to Me Too, right? The president has appointed himself the chief opponent of this movement. But then what happened is it turned out that people really cared about the Epstein files. They were grossed out by the idea of young women being manipulated by the powerful and the wealthy. And part of the lasting power of Me Too is that there's a lot of empathy, especially for very young victims. And so to see the president sort of hit by, you could almost call it a backlash to the backlash, was really interesting.